What if growing a backyard garden could actually make you money? And we're not just talking about a small income stream. We're talking about enough revenue to take care of your kids. Today we're diving in the world of horticulture. The other day I sent out a poll to my YouTube channel and you guys selected this particular topic for us to dive into next. Let's get into it. All right, y'all, so Juan and I are here today with Mr. Christopher Wallace. What's going on, my brother?
What's up, man? You doing all right,
good,
bro?
Doing all right, man.
Good to see you, man.
I got it now. Biggie's name was Christopher Wallace.
That's right, Biggie.
Okay, I get
Christopher
it.
Wallace. I thought I was coming to see the notorious B.I.G. No, but today we're diving into horticulture. This is obviously an important topic, but it's something that you guys show interest in, and it's another way that you can profit from farmland. And now it's not all about profiting from farmland. Sometimes there's a purpose behind it, and that's what we're going to talk about with Chris today, in order to show you guys how you can apply this into your life as well. So how's everything today, Chris?
Man, everything's great, man. I'm out in the farm. This is a very therapeutic space for me.
Oh, for sure.
I spend a lot of time out here growing some things. Obviously, you see I've got a couple of things up, a couple of tunnels that we've just constructed with the assistance of some friends. And we're just flipping beds now, getting ready for our fall garden, which is going to yield a lot of greens, a lot of root vegetables like beets, carrots, radish, those sorts of things. So we're excited to get to work.
Nice, man. Now, I know that before we started recording, you mentioned you put this farm together for a specific purpose. You want to tell everybody about that purpose?
Yeah, a couple of things, man. First and foremost, I wanted to teach my sons, discipline, like, understanding how to create your own space, create your own, your system of support, your therapy, the things that really move and motivate you, and then to just have food. I think that one of the things that we don't value enough is what we're putting into our bodies. And so it was really, really important for us to know that everything that we grow is completely organic. We don't put any chemicals in anything. And then utilizing the resources that we have right here on this land, the grass clippings, the dry leaves, the food scraps that we use, the napkins, like all of those things, putting that right back into the soil so that the soil then feeds the plants and then the plants then feed us.
Right. Yeah. Now, you mentioned schooling for your sons and you also mentioned farming. Why is that important?
Yeah, well, I've got 2 teenagers and they eat everything, right? And they want everything. And so, the purpose, for us is to just, again, teach them how to, have this skill, learn this skill. The one thing that people will always have to do in this world is eat, right?
Right.
And, the more you learn, the more you'll grow, the more you'll be able to feed other people and be able to, reap the benefits of what you're doing.
Yeah. Have you always done this, like even before you lived here, or is this like, you just started doing it, when you moved here? Yeah,
no, actually, so this started back in like 2014. I had a property in Greensboro, and we didn't have enough space to, have a farm. We had enough space to grow things in some boxes. And the first couple of years, we screwed everything up. We didn't know how to grow a tomato. And I was a director of a program at UNC Chapel Hill. And every Tuesday, we'd take a group of kids down to a restaurant called Lantern Restaurant. It was on Franklin Street in Chapel Hill. And one day I asked the chef, I said, hey, I noticed you guys have all this good food coming in. It looks fresh. Where's this food coming from? And, the chef introduced me to the farmer, where the food comes from. And so the farmer, they actually own a farm called 10 Mothers Farm in Cedar Grove, North Carolina. She invited my wife and I out to their farm and not only taught us like how to grow things, but taught us the business side of growing. Yeah. And so from 2014 till now, man, we've maintained that relationship. I was just out there a couple of days ago, spending some time with them, learning more about how to grow certain things and trying some new stuff. So yeah, I've been doing this for a while, but here on this property, we started this farm in 2020. The first year we had to cut back these trees.
During the pandemic.
Yep, right in the middle of the pandemic. It was real crazy during that time. But this property here was all trees. Like this area was full of trees. Yeah. And so we spent the first year cutting those trees back and just letting the roots and the stumps decompose. And then we started planting into the field in 2021. Nice. Now, the first couple of years were a little bit of a struggle, but I think it was later 2022, early 2023, where we started really seeing some significant results from the work that we had been putting in out here.
Nice.
Now, I've done a little bit of research on you. And I've been on your website and a little bit of your socials, man. And I see you teach purpose. Yeah. So why farming?
Yeah. Well, again, farming is a form of therapy for me, but it's also a skill. right? You know, it requires a significant amount of discipline, a significant amount of, you know, understanding that there are going to be some challenges along the process.
For
And
sure.
I think that kids like really, you know, particularly the youth that I work with and the youth groups that we've been able to bring out here, like you learn patience and discipline through the process of farming. And I liken it sometimes to raising kids, right? You know, I'm out here checking on my farm every single day.
Nice.
Like even if there's nothing to do, I just walk around and look at my plants. Now I don't necessarily talk to my plants, you know, like some people do. You know what I'm saying? But I do come out here and nurture them and that sort of thing. But yeah, I think that, you know, I've grown as a man, as a human, as a leader through just the patience and the discipline that farming requires.
Absolutely.
And it helped me become a better dad and a better leader.
The therapy is amazing.
Yeah, it is, man.
The therapy is amazing. I'll, you know, whenever there's a stressful time, I typically go out into the garden and I'm watering, or, you know, even just yesterday, my wife was just like, hey, what we're going to eat? I'm going to get me some collard out the garden.
Yep.
You know, so I take that time, not just take the time by myself, but I took out my daughter, Amaya, and we clipped the collards together, clipped some, you know, some onions, and we clipped some peppers together. And it was like, I don't know, it kind of finished off the day good, you know, because it went from high intensity at work, you know, to like, I'm at home, bring it down, because I think as men, that's tough.
Yeah.
Especially when you're like alpha males, you know, you're always getting it.
Right.
You know, and therapy is amazing. Therapy is amazing out of the garden.
Well, you know, and one of the things that we talk about, you know, a lot. In fact, I was on a meeting here a couple of days ago. We talk about the mental health crisis that we're in right now, and like how can we better support folks who are going through mental health challenges. In fact, there are people in this world who go through things that they don't talk about, right?
Yeah.
You know, and
we all do.
Right. And it's, I think it's important for us. You know, it would be great if we lived in a world where we forgave and accepted people just as quickly as we judge them, right? And you know, for me and for the people that I've had an opportunity to speak with and to teach, you know, this process, I think that really impacts their own mental health. And it impacts my mental health, being able to share what I've learned over the years from my father-in-law, you know, from the farmers that I've, you know, connected with. I mean, there are farmers that I've cold called in other states, and I'm like, yo, you know, I know you don't know me, you know, but my name is Chris, and I want to know how you grow watermelon. Like, what do you put in the soil? How do you go about this process? Have you ever put fish scraps in the ground, and did it, you know, produce the kind of, or the quality of watermelon that you produce? You know, all of those sorts of things.
Yeah.
And for me out here, you know, beyond the mental health aspect, like when I'm growing my crops, I'm not focusing on quantity as much as I am quality. Like I want my stuff to taste good, right?
Absolutely.
Because I don't care if I grow a gazillion peaches or carrots or whatever.
Right.
If they don't taste good, then I didn't do my job.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Facts.
So one of the questions I got from the YouTube audience was, how can working the land actually inspire young people? Now you kind of dabbled into that a little bit, but how can cultivating land inspire young people?
Yeah, so I had a session with a group of teens the other day, and I asked them a question. I said, who are you, right? And not a lot of people could answer that question without just telling me their name. And my second question to them was, what are you skilled at? What do you like doing? Like, what do you enjoy doing? Oh, I like playing basketball. Or I like eating. I like, you know, okay, that's great. You understand those two things or whatever. But what I want people to understand is that when you do this requires, again, a significant amount of discipline, a significant amount of patience. And once you learn this process, you feel a sense of accomplishment that you may not feel in accomplishing something else.
Absolutely.
It's not like passing a test in the class, right? It's like, oh my God, I know how to grow food. I know how to sustain myself. And with the administration that we have in place now, it's even more critically important that we grow our own stuff, because we really don't know what we're going to be eating. Right? Yes, and this is a way, you know, for people to generate a source of income. You know, much like my sons are doing now. They're grinding. They're out here almost every day doing some stuff. Now, my oldest son might, you know, mumble and grumble, you know, while doing some of the stuff. I'm saying, but
I love it.
You know, when he has an opportunity to stand at a farmer's market and sell things, or
Nice.
have opportunities to have conversations with people, and he earns money doing that, he feels good about himself.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So would you say that, like, does the money actually inspire the kids, or does the process?
And I'm glad you asked that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because it's probably a combination of both of those things.
Yeah, but I think in the beginning, though, they think it's going to be the money.
Yeah.
But then I think as they go through the process, I think they start to enjoy the process.
Yeah.
And then, you know, then they start to understand that the money is just like, this is just, you know,
And
it's just a reward.
Yeah, and it's our time as well. Like when we're out here planting collards or carrots or whatever, we talk. Now we have guys talk. We talk about life. We talk about football. We talk about basketball. We talk about what moves and motivates us. We talk about when they get older and they have their own families, like the kinds of things that they'll do. And so it's really an opportunity for us to really bond and connect. And I think family is so broken now that you have to find opportunities even in your busy life, to connect with your family. Like I mean, this is what the intent of this world is connection, right? And growth and development in the process. And so I'm very pleased with having the opportunity to do this alongside my sons on a regular basis.
That's what's up.
That's awesome.
So can we talk about money a little bit? Like I heard you mention the farmer's market. So so let's say, well, first of all, how do you decide what you're gonna grow to sell?
Well, as I mentioned before, restaurants, they like a lot of stuff, right? But they require, in my knowledge, in my experience, 4 important critical things. You have to have cherry tomatoes, right? You have to have lettuce, you have to have carrots, and you have to have garlic. Like those are the things that restaurants will require of you. At farmers market, it's a little bit different. Like farmers market, they want to see a variety of things. And one of the things that we like to do is we like to grow things that aren't typically seen at farmers market. Like the cherry tomatoes that we grow are a little bit different than what you might see at a farmers market.
And the black bell peppers. I've never seen the black bell peppers.
Right, ever at a farmers market, right?
2 bell peppers that you just had a second ago.
Yeah, and so we determine needs based on after talking with people and talking with the farmers markets themselves, like what are you selling at the farmers market, what do people buy most, those sorts of things, and then talking with other farmers who visit farmers markets. That's how we determine what we sell. Now we don't go to a lot of farmers markets. We've been to just a few. The ones that we've been to have we've had some success, but we find more success in just connecting directly with individuals and restaurants.
Nice. I love that.
I guess one of the questions that I would have is how much land is this farm sitting on right now?
So we're on an acre, but we only use about 1/3 of an acre to farm on.
Got it.
And just so people can understand how much you got on here, because whenever I talk about me planting strawberries, I told you this year I was like, I want to do 50 strawberries, and then you was like, oh well, last year we planted 500. Was it 500?
Yeah, 600.
I was like, golly, I was like, it's all good. You got the Jordans on.
No, I didn't even know that.
He's sweating. That brother's sweating hard.
And I thought that was amazing of how much you actually plant. So like, I guess, did you start that big, or did you just like say, oh well, these are doing good, this is selling good, or my kids are just eating all of these,
So listen, go big or go home, man. And I feel like the same thing with the peach trees or whatever. Instead of growing 2 peach trees, I said, man, I'm gonna grow 26 peach trees. Like I have the space for it. And so I had cooperative extension and other farmers come out here, and just before we even set the farm up, they were coaching me on which direction the farm should go. Like initially we were like, okay, we'll have the rows going this way. They're like, no. Your sun rises and sets here. You're gonna have full sun in this area, at this time of day. And then I downloaded the sun app. It's a sun checker app or something like that.
Not everybody knows about the extension, so I don't wanna go too far past that. What's the extension?
Yeah, so cooperative extension, it's in every county in North Carolina, and they have extension agents who specialize in horticulture and all of those sorts of things. And you can just call them up, man, and just ask questions. That's what their job is.
Nice.
Is to answer questions that you have about how to manage land, how to grow crops, those sorts of things.
Nice. So you already pay for it in your taxes. And my guy is Jim. Actually, Jim is coming over on the 15th to talk about those my grapevines I want to put in. But it's for us in North Carolina. It's the NRCS. But they'll come out and help you. And you don't got to be like a big establishment. From what I hear, you don't got to be a big establishment. Do you even have to have a farm track number in order to get advice from them?
No.
Yeah. So they're down to talk to anybody.
Yeah. And as far as the strawberries, I know you asked the question about the strawberries. So initially we started with a few hundred strawberries, and they
a few hundred.
Right.
A few hundred. Like, and here's the thing, man. Like we wanted to be able to produce enough strawberries that we could actually sell, because if you only grow 50 strawberry plants, like you might get 2 strawberries per plant, right?
Yeah.
And that's 100 strawberries in a pint. You have about 16 to 20 strawberries, so that's gone. 5 pints, that's it.
Yeah.
And so for us, we said we'll start with a few hundred. the first year that we grew strawberries, the rabbits and the deer got almost every strawberry. So it was very, very frustrating.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, if we grow 600 to 1,000 strawberries, they can't possibly eat all of these strawberries. We'll have some for them,
Right.
and then we'll have some for us.
Yep, you got
and
to.
so that's where the desire to grow that many strawberries came from. And then we had so much success with strawberries in the past couple of years that we did clear an additional space to grow an additional 600 to 800 more strawberries. So this year we're looking at anywhere from 1,500 to 1,700 strawberry plants that will grow.
Oh yeah, and what I noticed about the ones that you gave me is this year, now that they're nice and big, they shoot off runners.
Yep.
I was like, I wonder if I can clip off that runner and pot it. Yeah.
You better be clipping off those runners. You clip off that runner and you repot that joint, plant it in the ground, man, and that's strawberries for the next season. But the life of a strawberry plant is only about 4 years. And so that mother plant, after it produces strawberries and produces runners, in 4 years, you're going to be replacing it with a runner that it produces.
Oh, so it's important that you take those runners.
Yes, you
and
have
root
to take
them.
those runners.
Yeah.
Take those runners and root them.
Okay,
and then take
nice.
those, hey, listen, if you got enough runners, take those runners and put them in a tray and sell them.
Right,
So
absolutely.
that's what my sons do now, man.
How much can you get for those?
So we do 50 flat tray, and we sell those for $65.
Nice.
Nice, that's what's up. So if you consider that you planted the plant, right?
Yep.
It grew food, and then you take that runner that it created to sell.
Yep.
Like that's all. That's just dope. That's just dope how that happens to me.
Yep.
You
That's
know?
genius, man.
Yeah.
So I know in North Carolina, one of the biggest questions that we get on the channel is the amount of land and what is considered to be a farm. Now I know Sawan has 22 acres. We did one with Michelle. She has 7. And you said that there's a little over an acre here, right?
No, we're right at an acre.
Right at an acre of land. So in North Carolina, would you be considered a farm?
Yeah, we are a farm. You're saying that you can have a farm with 1/10 of an acre, man.
Got
it's
it.
just really how you utilize that space and market your space, and your farm.
I think the phrase was bona fide farm. Then.
Exactly.
That's what it was. That's
Exactly.
the difference. So you can have a farm anywhere in this particular state. And obviously, if you guys are watching this and you want to do something similar to this, you got to check with your state laws to see what's legitimate in your area. But
Because the zoning here is it ag?
Yeah.
Is ag?
It is
Yeah,
ag.
it's
So you're
agriculture.
good.
Yeah,
Good to
exactly.
go.
Yep. So and once again, like under your zoning, you'll have all these different things that you can and can't do.
Yeah.
And here in North Carolina, ag, farming is one of those. Farming is one of those things.
Got it.
Yeah. Did you ever get any problems at your last house? Because you said I was smaller. Did you get any problems with the garden?
Well, yeah, we did. Yeah, we had a HOA
Yeah.
at the old house, and we got plenty of letters that say you got too many pots in your yard. You're growing too much stuff, and we're like,
Crazy.
what? And so the deal breaker for us in purchasing our next home and property was there cannot be an HOA.
got it.
And there has to be land that we can actually grow real food on.
Exactly.
So yeah, here we are.
And you were in Greensboro when you
Yeah,
had the previous.
Yeah, we were in Greensboro.
Got it.
So we're out in the cut now. We're still in Guilford County, but we're out in the county area.
Yeah. It's a nice area.
Which
Yeah, I like it.
allows
Yeah.
us an opportunity to just kind of be free, man.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Good amount of stuff. Now, what exactly are you growing around the farm right now?
Okay, so you want to walk around?
Yeah,
and
let's
see?
go
Yeah,
ahead.
exactly. Yep. Love it.
After you, my brother.
All right.
No, and when I saw your peaches in a row like this, like I was telling Jamel, I was like, oh, other than just the peaches, that's also like people want to take pictures there.
Yeah.
Like,
And the issue this year with the peaches, as I was telling you earlier, is that our peaches got a disease called brown rot, which it's too much moisture, too much humidity. It is
rain.
very difficult to grow peaches in North Carolina. So what we're gonna do in the fall, like November, December, is we're gonna cut every other tree down and hope that creates more airflow and circulation so that our peaches, will bloom. I mean, we had a really, really, really great year 2 years ago. And then last year and this year we got brown rot, which was devastating. The trees were a little smaller 2 years ago, and we have to heavily prune them in the wintertime because these are standard sized trees that'll get to 20, 25 feet if you allow them to. But our intent is to only allow the tree to get to 8 to 10 feet because what's the point of having a 20-foot tree if you can't get the
reach
peaches
it.
at the top,
Right,
right?
reach it. Yeah.
I
Makes
see
sense.
people all the time have these massive peach trees and pear trees and they have a bunch of fruit up top, but the birds are enjoying that. They're not enjoying the fruits of their labor, right?
Right,
No pun
right.
intended. And the other thing is with peach trees, you have to do such significant pruning to shape the tree. So you can see all of the trees here have a shape to them. So they all come basically like a little stick, and as they grow, like branches are all over the place going in every direction. And you want to create some space in the center where airflow can just kind of flow through the tree.
I'm seeing that.
You know, and so all of the trees have that shape. This is probably, you know, a better representation of what it
I see
should
it.
look like. And you can see our pruning cuts here, here, there, yeah, and all over the tree where we made significant cuts to the tree so that we can make sure that there's significant airflow. And then you have what are called scaffold branches as well, which will hold your fruit. So you have to be able to identify them. So branches like this, like in
this.
winter, we'll cut this off. You
Nice.
saying, but your scaffold branches, you'll
thick
recognize them
ones.
very quickly because they'll have a reddish tint to them, and they'll have at the end when the tree buds, they'll have 2 buds instead of 1 bud. And the ones that have 2 buds are going to be the buds that produce the peaches. The 1 buds are not going to produce any peaches.
Now, how much does a tree cost versus what you can actually sell peaches for?
Yeah, so
Nice.
yeah, it really depends on where you get the tree from and the time of season you get the tree. So if you get the tree during prime season, which is April, May, June, and then they stop selling them, then they start selling them again in August and September. I mean, you're looking at, you know, 40 or 50 bucks a tree. You know what I'm saying, from a big box store like Lowe's or Home Depot.
So something like this, well, maybe like that right there.
Yeah, now that right there, I mean, in fact, you know, it's got its original price on there from Home Depot. It was $32.
$32?
And this was a smaller tree. You're saying, but the larger, more established trees, you know, run anywhere from 40, 50, maybe even $60. Online nurseries, you're looking at significantly higher prices. We got some of our trees from, you know, other local farmers and other individuals at farms in other states, and particularly South Carolina. And then some of these trees came from big box stores as well, you know, to kind of fill out, you know, our small orchard. But we buy them at different times of year. So if you go and purchase your tree in like September, October, when they're marking them down, you usually get your trees for half off. And usually the trees look like they're in shaky condition or they're just trying to get rid of them. And so what we do is we purchase them at that half off price, or we negotiate a price that's, you know, amenable for our budget. You know, and then we prune them back, cut them up, take them out of the pots, repot them into another pot, or plant them directly in the ground, get them fertilized. And then next spring, you know, 90% of the trees come back just fine with no problem. So all of these trees here, you know, were purchased, you know, at discounted prices or from, you know, local farmers, you know, who, you know, we wanted to give a shot, you know, and support their business and grow peach trees.
Nice.
So you're growing these, you're raising these peach trees, but you also have some watermelon over here as well.
Yeah, so we just pulled up our watermelon plants for the year, like literally this week. We went ahead and pulled them up. So that we can get the ground ready for fall growing. We're going to go ahead and cover that area with silage tarp for a couple of weeks, let it, you know, kill all the weed seeds and things like that.
The nights are too cool right now, so you rip that up and start a new crop.
Yeah, yeah. So we're going to probably plant some kale down on that end. If not kale, you know, we'll probably just keep that area covered and just plant into that area again in the spring. But I think next year we're going to grow corn down on that end and then strawberries on the backside of that extra area that we just cleared.
Now, what did you mean by ripping them up and then?
I learned this from him. So you're gonna plant several times a year. So you might start cucumbers, you know, in the spring, but you're gonna have to rip them up because the life expectancy of a cucumber is what, a few months.
Yeah.
So you plant them again.
It's called creating a bumper crop.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So our first, you know, to your point, our first cucumbers are planted in April, right? And we get cucumbers at the end of May and early June. And once they produce, you know, they're going to continue to produce, but the quality of the cucumber is going to continue to diminish. And so we pull those cucumber plants out mid-June, late June, early July, plant a bumper crop in early July to get cucumbers in September. So we should be getting cucumbers end of this month, early October, before the cool weather really kicks in.
Exactly.
So different times of the year, you're growing different things pretty much based on the season.
Yeah,
sure.
Okay, got it. What's the overhead look like in order to be able to sustain all of this?
Yeah, well, you know, so I think a lot of, you know, what we do, what we sell, you know, we pour back into the farm. You know what I'm saying? And fortunately, we've had an opportunity to have companies that have donated a lot of things to us, you know, seeds, you know, even some of these garden boxes here that we have, you know, we've had companies, these garden boxes run 90, 100 bucks. We've had people, you know, selling to us for 10 bucks.
Can we go take a look at them?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Let's go take a look at them. You know, we've had, you know, opportunities because of our, you know, TikTok following.
Nice.
We've had companies send us a lot of, you know, compost, you know, cow manure,
Nice.
You know, other things, you know, at no cost, or trees or plants at no cost, you know, to just really give them a shout on our TikTok channel. So we're excited about that. These boxes here.
Speaking of which,
That's great.
what is your TikTok handle?
Chris Inspires You.
Chris Inspires You.
Yeah,
Check
Chris
him out on
Inspires
TikTok
You.
for sure.
Yeah, so we're growing herbs in there. That's,
Yep.
you know, oregano, this is thyme, That's sage, and then that last box there, that's lemon thyme. We just pulled up most of our basil plants because the basil season, is coming to an end because it is getting cooler outside. We've got rosemary that's on that side. I'll walk you over there shortly so that you can see the rosemary plants.
You keep all of your basil, or you sell some of that too?
Yeah, we definitely sell basil, man. We produce so much basil that it's not
crazy.
even funny.
Yeah, no,
our basil is crazy.
I think I got my basil from you this year, but literally, I think I put one in every box. But I mean, they were just ridiculously huge, and then I was able to propagate each one, so I put another one in the ground. But literally, I'm holding them like this, I'm holding them. And I dried two of those out, and that was enough for us. Two. Really, one was enough for us. And but then I gave some to my in-laws, because they like to cook with basil. So
yeah.
Got it. So I know that you're fenced in with all of this stuff over here. Some of it is not fenced in. Do you ever have problems with animals?
Man, always, man. Hey, listen, the food is just as good to them as it is to us. And, deer issues are definitely an issue, for sure. The fence helps, and just having some sort of barrier will make them think about it. Although they can jump the 6-foot fence, they're not likely to jump it unless they're just absolutely having to have a peach or having to have something. But I think what we created here is that with everything that's happening in here, if they jump the fence, they might feel like they're getting trapped because they're jumping into some crops, or they're jumping into a box, or they see these things right here, which the reflection of them sometimes really scares the deer. So we have those issues. And then, of course, squirrels and rabbits, they like to nibble on things. So we have to kind of trick them with trap crops. So we plant things like marigold, nasturtiums, and garlic. And with the garlic, the trick with garlic is when you plant it in October, not spring, you plant garlic, you plant strawberries in October, we keep cutting the garlic so that smell, the smell that it emits,
so
really...
you nip it?
Yep, we nip it. We use those as chives, to cook with.
Yeah.
And the smell that it emits, I mean, it's a very, very strong garlic odor. Deer and rabbits don't like that.
Got it.
Yeah.
Nice.
So now it does help. You say it does not prevent, all rabbits and deer or whatever from coming into the yard.
For sure.
But it definitely helps.
Oh, absolutely.
How are the rabbits getting in? Because I know squirrels can climb. I didn't know rabbits can as well.
You see that square right there?
Which
if a
one?
rabbit can get its head in there, it can get in the fence.
Oh, for
bro.
sure.
Really?
Yes, sir. So what we have to do, and what we've been doing, is we go around the bottom of the fence, and we've been putting some chicken wire that comes up to about 4.5, 2 feet.
So like that right there.
Yeah.
Down at the bottom.
Which keeps them from, digging, because the chicken wire not only, goes up the fence, but it runs down on the ground as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, under the ground, because rabbits will dig and figure out how to burrow their way. One of the issues that we're having now is groundhogs,
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And, you step and you feel the ground is a little soft, and you're like, wait a second. Something is happening in here. And we found that there were groundhogs that are running around, doing a little bit of this, a little bit of that, but animal pressure is a part of farming. Like you're never gonna, deter everything.
Right.
And so we just try to grow enough to where we can sell, where we can have ourselves, and that the animals can enjoy the little bit that they're gonna enjoy as well.
Yeah.
Obviously, there was a certain amount of overhead that you have. How are you meeting in relationships? How are you meeting the businesses, the different people, in order to be able to sell your crops to?
Yeah, well, some of it's through social media, through TikTok, and then through my job, the work that I do, through my speaking platform. I do talk a lot about my farming. People ask all the time, like, how do you find the time to do all of this? Well, you know what? You don't make room for your gift, right? Your gift makes room for you. And I enjoy that process. I enjoy telling people about the therapeutic benefits of what farming provides. And for them, it's something that, what, man, this is therapy for him. Let me try this. And maybe this is something that'll work for me as well. But just through,
talking,
conversation, man, like looking at people in the face, not being on your phone all the time, right? People walk with their heads down all the time. And I take produce to the job. I take produce, I just set it on my neighbor's, doorsteps at times.
Nice.
And say, hey, try this zucchini that we grew. This is a different kind of zucchini. This is a different kind of squash that we're growing. I want you to try it and share it with your friends and family and let them know. And that's how I get a lot of business. They share it with friends and family. And then through the connections, as I mentioned before, we have a couple of youth programs that I've worked with, and we would take them to restaurants to learn culinary skills, and then asking those questions about where the food comes from, and connecting with that farm, and then that farm connecting with me with with resources such as restaurants and farmers markets and those sorts of things.
Nice.
Yeah, and then we actually were just at a farmers market in Salisbury at the West End Farmers Market maybe a week or two ago, and we were selling produce and some plants, and we were on the front page of the paper, man, which was actually pretty surprising. I was like, whoa,
That's
we
pretty
didn't
cool.
expect that.
Nice.
You're saying, but that also aided in our growth and development, because we fielded tons of questions from people
Marketing.
via social media, via email regarding that newspaper article.
Yeah. Now, what sells for more? I'm interested. Do the plants? Because you said you sell some plants, and you said you sell the produce.
Yeah.
Do the plants sell for more, or do the produce sell for more?
Well, it depends on how many produce boxes you sell. Like we sell produce boxes for $21, and it's usually about 10 to 12 pounds of produce. But the plants, I mean, if we're selling a small peach tree or a small plum tree or something like that, and they're selling for $25 or $30 a pop, that's gonna go. Like people want those things. And when we were at the farmers market, all we sold were plants, and we made several $100s in just 3 hours.
Nice.
And people said, "Oh, what is a loquat? It's a Japanese plum, and this is what it looks like." And they were 1 to 2 feet tall, and people just wanted those. They flocked to those, and they just took them and bought them.
Nice. Awesome.
Yesterday,
That's awesome.
Sawan and I were talking about, elevator pitches, and
You want to move to the shade?
yeah, it's hot. I'm over here sweating everybody. And I got my questions on my phone, so I'm not on my phone. I'm just looking at some of the questions that you guys had. But yesterday, we were on YouTube Live, and one of the things we spoke about was elevator pitching, right? And an elevator pitch is, what do you do?
Right.
So it's similar to when you ask the kids, who are you? And they may say their name, but what's their elevator pitch?
Yeah.
So that was one commonality that you guys, as real estate investors, you might be able to relate to. What's your elevator pitch? Who are you? What do you do? Can you tell somebody what you do in 3 sentences?
Right.
So that they can understand who you are and what you're about. When you're dealing with businesses and you're going out to meet people, and obviously word of mouth is a big thing. You have to market. You have to get your name out there in order to be able to be profitable in business. How accepting are people when it comes to working with you?
Yeah, well, I think it starts with just being genuine, right? I think that I don't provide a sales pitch to people, right? My relationship with people is more relational, as opposed to transactional. And I think that's kind of part of where
Super
businesses fail, right?
Yeah.
You're saying there's this back and forth transactional relationship that you have, which is something that we don't do. Like my sons have learned the process of doing this, and so I've taught them how to be, kind people, right? How to be genuine people, how to be very authentic, and that's who we are. We tell people like, hey, this is what we sell, this is what we do, and these are the benefits of it. But how's your family doing?
Right.
Like, what do you like to do? What do you enjoy doing? Let's go have dinner together at some point. And so that's how we build relationships. We focus on building the relationship, the real relationship first, before we delve into any of this farming stuff. And through that conversation, through relationship building, that's when people find out, oh, this is what you do? Oh man, how do you do that? Oh, can we come out? Yeah, sure, why not? Let me let you try these things. And so we're always an advocate for people trying our stuff before they purchase anything.
Yeah, what's the one thing I liked about them? So I bought what's the first thing I bought? Tulips.
Yeah.
And I paid for a certain amount, but he said, hey man, look, there's a couple extra, just in case. And I was like, oh, okay, good guy. It was a good guy. And then I had bought something else, and you did the same. You was like, that time you didn't give me extra, but you gave me additional of another thing. And at that point I told my wife, I was like, oh, this is my guy, And probably before I called you my guy, I was telling my wife, I like this guy because of this. And I've noticed that after that, the people that we bought chickens from, they gave us extra chickens. And I'm like, that's kind of like a give, that's kind of like a give. So if you practice that in your business, then I'm sure, the way you created a relationship with me, which is why we're here now. I guess 2 years later, we've known each other for 2 years now.
A couple of years,
Yeah, that's how it works,
Yeah, and it's the same thing, again, that's another commonality with real estate.
Yeah.
It's a relationship business. So if you look at it, all businesses are pretty much the same. They're all relationship businesses. You treat people the way you want to be treated, and in turn, you'll get more business. In addition to that, very similar to the information business. You see, Sawan and I, we like to give out a lot of free content on social media. But in turn, it turns into business for us at some point. Not for everybody, but for a small percentage of people. And that's exactly what you do. You give something away for free, or just give with no intentions.
Right.
And people naturally want to be around you because of it.
You know what, man? I actually had the great pleasure to meet Quincy Jones one time, right? This was maybe in 2014. And I asked him, I said, you know, how do you go about handling your business? He was like, laugh, love, live, and give. That's what he told me. And I was like, oh, man, it didn't resonate until years later. I was like, man, you know what? That actually means something. And so that is our model. Like, we do want to provide people with something, and we want people to feel good about what they're getting. Like, we don't ever want to sell something or give some, even if we're giving it for free, we still want you to like it, to enjoy it. If you don't, tell us. Like, we like, you know, the honesty, like the brutal honesty. If these tomatoes taste trash, like, let us know that they taste trash. And then that tells us that we've got to do something different moving forward. But the other thing that I didn't really talk about is our container gardening. What we hear a lot of is we hear a lot of people complaining about not having space. Right. And we talk about the space that we have, and we've been fortunate, you know, and blessed to be able to get this space. But we also teach people how to grow in containers. If they live in an apartment, if they only have a patio, like, you can still grow something out there. And so I definitely want to show individuals like how it can be done with just a little bit of space that you might have.
Nice. Absolutely. Do you mind if we check that out?
Yeah, let's go ahead.
Yeah, that'll be great. Sorry to take you out the shade. It was
No,
feeling nice. It does it. So these are collards, right?
Yeah, those are collards.
Okay, and so you're cutting the back leaves first,
Yeah.
and then it just continues to go up like that?
So what I did is I transplanted them. They were growing in pots, and they were not going to reach their full potential.
In the pots?
Yeah, in the pots that we had them in. We didn't have them in the really large containers. We had them in smaller ones.
Oh, okay.
So we started them in seed trays. Like, you'll see a bunch of seed trays that we have. You'll see them over there in a second. And then we transplant them to the pots. And then once we transplant them to the pots, we either leave them in pots, let them grow in the pots, or we move them into the farm area. And so we decided to move them here. In fact, we're going to plant another row of collards here. We're going to plant another row of collards there. We're going to pull these spaghetti squash up and plant another row of collards there.
Nice.
These are just experimental plants. Like, someone had given us some seeds to try. And I said, okay, we'll try some spaghetti squash here and see if they grow. And they look okay, but you know, I'm ready to grow my greens.
Yeah.
When you started this, were your intentions to turn it into a business, or were you just doing it for yourself at first?
So at first, it was just feed ourselves, you know, and then, you know, people would ask a lot of questions, and I ask a lot of questions. Like, I reached out to the farmers, and when we met, you know, the owners of 10 Mothers Farm, you know, Vera and Gordon, and they started teaching us the business side of it, I said, hey, you know what? This sounds easy enough. Now, of course, it's not easy. Farming is not an easy gig at all. You got to find time to do it. You got to have the patience and the discipline to do certain things.
It's business.
But, you know, I said, this is something that I feel like we can, you know, profit from. We can turn into something where, again, you know, my sons have a way of earning some income, because mom and dad are tired of paying for your haircut, tired of buying your shoes, you know, tired of you're paying for your dates with your girlfriend, those sorts of things. We want you guys to be able to earn that. And so they've done a really good job of, you know, really investing the time, the energy, and the effort that it takes to make this happen. Again, this season has been a little bit of a different season for not just us as farmers, but for farmers across the state of North Carolina, because environmental factors do play a significant role. Like, which is part of the reason why we got the tunnels, because we want to better protect our tomatoes next year. Next year, that will not happen.
Right. No, you need that restaurant business. You need that restaurant business.
So we're going to handle our business next year for sure there.
So Sawan did, I'm sorry, what were you going to say?
No, you go ahead.
Sawan did mention the restaurant business. I know we were talking about that earlier today. So could you tell us how you met up with those business owners?
Yeah. So, you know, I work with a group of youth, you know, in a program at a YMCA, and every once a week, you know, we would take them to this restaurant, and they would learn, you know, how to prepare food, how to wash their hands, how to use utensils, those sorts of things. And I asked the restaurant owner, I said, where do you get your produce from? And, you know, she told me that she just goes to, you know, your local stores, gets her produce from there. I said, you know what? I want you to try something. Like, she said, you have a farm? I said, yeah, I have a farm. I want you to try some things. So I took her a few things, and she was like, oh my, you know, let's go ahead and work something out. And we worked some things out, which were to begin this summer. Yeah, and of course, this summer, you know, Mother Nature said, nah, we ain't doing it right now. You know, but this fall, the expectation is that, you know, all of the greens that she gets, all of the lettuce, all of those root crops, such as the beets and the carrots.
Nice.
She's going to get that from our farm.
Nice. I love it.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just through that constant connection and communication, staying connected, staying attached, checking on them, having that, that real, authentic relationship. So we'll start with these containers here.
Jesus, you got a lot of pots.
Yeah, that's a lot.
For free.
You got all these
really?
for free?
Yes, for free. From tree trimming companies who are trying to get rid of pots.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we'll start.
Interesting.
So how did you get all these pots for free?
I saw them in the back of the store or the back of the garden center or the nursery. And I said, what y'all do with these pots? They was like, we just toss them. I said, man, let me get them pots.
Yeah, that's right.
And so I grabbed as many as I could.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
That's
what we
great.
do here is
I need it.
we grow plenty of food in containers. And as I mentioned to you guys before, the intent initially was to do experiments to see what foods would grow best in certain soils, such as the horse manure, the cow manure, chicken manure, different fertilizers, all of those sorts of things. And in some stuff, we didn't grow with any fertilizers in it at all. And what we discovered is that a couple of things. A, you don't have to buy a whole bunch of potting mix to be able to grow in pots. We use a combination of, we might use a bag of potting mix in these large pots, right? But we also use the dried grass clippings, the dried crushed leaves that we use a string trimmer and crush up, put them in there. A little bit of the native soil, and then we put food scraps, in the pots as well. And the food scraps help to provide nutrients to the plants. But we've got kale growing here. We've got kale growing there. We've got kale growing here. We've got our bumper crop of cucumbers, which you can see down on the end there that the deer have gotten a hold of them. We've got squash and zucchini, and then we've got green beans up there. In those 4 boxes in the fence there, we've got carrots that are growing. We've got red carrots, yellow carrots, and your standard orange carrots growing there. Here are some citrus trees. We've got orange, lemon, lime trees. And some of these came from big box stores. Some of these came from companies that allowed us an opportunity to try their trees at no cost or at very little cost. And we wanted to try them. Then we're growing sweet potatoes in pots as well. So that if we don't get any sweet potatoes out there, we'll get the sweet potatoes from here this year for us. We've got blueberry plants in pots. Again, some of these are cuttings, that we cut ourselves. Some of them are from the stores. And we just cut off of those plants. We've got what is called a pineapple guava, which is something that we're trying for the first time. So this was a cutting from someone's tree that we cut, we put it in the pot, and now it's starting to really bloom. These are Japanese plums, or better known as loquats, which were very popular at the farmer's market that we went to. But these grow into 20-foot, massive
How
trees.
much do those sell for?
We sold these for $25.
$25.
Yep.
Yeah. And
For the whole pot? Or?
Yep, just for the pot.
Did you get
the whole pot with you.
did you get them from a cutting or?
Yep, a cutting.
Nice.
Yeah, nice.
Yep.
That's great.
Literally creating money.
Yeah,
They say money don't grow on trees.
Yeah, right. Man, that's a lie.
That is a
total
lie.
myth.
That's great. And
this
are
is-
those pineapples?
Yeah, these are pineapples. This is something new that we're trying this year. And
That's
again,
interesting.
we bought pineapple from the store, organic pineapple. You twist the top off, you peel the bottom leaves back, you put it in water for a couple days to a week. They root, and once they root, you put them in some potting soil.
Nice.
So it's a combination of potting soil, the dry crushed leaves, some grass clippings,
That's dope.
and some native soil.
Wow.
How often are you at the farmer's market?
Maybe twice a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a lot of our business is just, hey, Chris, you got them crops? You
They
got
come
that
to
produce
you.
basket? Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
So we meet up we have specific locations that we meet up with folks at.
Got it.
We are, we like to visit a few different farmers markets this coming year or next spring and summer. But again, part of the reason why we try to avoid farmers markets is because everyone is selling the same thing. Like,
Right.
Johnny and Jane and Jack are all selling the same variety of tomatoes, same variety of pepper, that sort of thing. And so typically what we've seen happen is when we're at a farmer's market, people will buy who they're most comfortable buying from. So,
Facts.
and again, it might seem a little bit, bullish to say this, but
It's not.
I found that people will most associate with someone who looks like them.
Right.
And so if we're sitting there and we're at a farmer's market that does not, maybe have a lot of people that look like us, we're not going to sell as much.
For sure.
In part because of that.
For sure. Absolutely.
Understood.
Absolutely.
We have more citrus here. That's avocado tree. That's a persimmon tree that Lowe's gave us. Said try it. You bring it back to life because it was dying and it's still living. raspberries that we planted in pot, and then more blueberries that are for sale, and then we've got some mint there. I'm gonna walk you over here real quick.
Cool.
I gotta get a picture. Hold on.
This is,
Yeah, it looks good.
how do you make the decision on what to buy or what to grow?
It's based on market, right? As I mentioned before, a lot of restaurants like a lot of things, but they're for specific things that they like. But for us, it's also based on what we like to eat.
Right.
We like to eat a lot of different things. And then the neighbors and the family and friends who buy from us, we also ask them questions. I mean, we've posed, questions on social media like, hey guys, should we grow this or this? And, we've, messaged our friends and family and asked them certain things. And so we try to grow those things
For
that
sure.
they enjoy.
So it's similar to what we do with finding out what the client actually
Market
wants.
research.
Yeah.
Market research, and then go ahead and provide it for them.
So
That's good stuff.
here we have what are called midget cantaloupe. We hope to get a quick crop in before it got too cold outside. I don't know that that's going to happen. This is our first time trying the midget cantaloupe. We typically grow your regular standard, cantaloupe. We've got some herbs and some corner pots. You got some rosemary
So
here.
many pots.
You got some oregano there. In these pots down the line here, you've got broccoli. Right here, we have Brussels sprouts.
Yeah, and you just put these things in because this is the fall crop.
Yep.
Yep.
Yes, and so you want to plant these early September.
Yeah.
And so we just planted these. We grow them from seed. Everything that we grow, particularly greens, carrots, all that, we grow from seed. We don't buy any plants from the store.
That's how you keep the cost down.
It's a waste of time,
Yeah.
And so and then with our tomatoes and with our watermelon and peppers, things like that, we actually save seed.
Got it.
And we end up selling seeds as well. So we package the seeds and we sell them. 20 in the pack for $2, $3, whatever that cost is for the specific seed. But yeah, so broccoli here, cauliflower here. We got lettuce in here. Lettuce is very small right now. In another month, these pots will be full of lettuce. And this is a cut and come again lettuce where you just cut it and it keeps growing back all fall, all winter, into early spring. We do grow a summer lettuce as well. Summer lettuce is a little bit harder to care for because it requires you having some sort of shade cloth and a lot of water. Like you have to water lettuce like almost every day to keep it from bolting, and then it becomes very bitter.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if you all ever had bitter lettuce. It is the worst tasting thing ever in your life. Yeah. I'd rather.
I think mine did that because I kept cutting it. Because I wasn't eating a lot of the lettuce, but I was using it for like my burgers and stuff.
Yeah.
And then it started to seed.
Yeah.
And then once it started to seed, the chase changed.
Yep.
Yeah, and I was like, okay.
Didn't know that.
Yeah.
So I know you didn't start off with this size operation,
Right.
obviously,
Right.
and we mentioned that. So what's one small thing that our listeners or our viewers can do today in order to get started doing something like this?
Yeah, well, you know what? First and foremost, man, just do your research. Like determine what you're able to grow in your grow zone in your area. Like we're in zone 8A, North Carolina. So it allows us an opportunity to grow some things that are a little bit different than some other zones. But identify what you can grow in your area versus what you like to eat. And then go get you some pots and see if you can start some of those things in pots, which, again, you can go to your local big box store, Home Depot, Lowe's, Walmart, and they frequently have pots in the back that people have, donated, or they are pots from plants that they've sold or plants that they've thrown away, and they'll give them to you at no cost. And if they charge you anything, Lowe's did charge me one time, but they charged me a penny. They had to charge me something, so they charged me 1 cent. For like 50 pots, and I said, yeah, deal. I'll take all of those
Nice,
pots.
let's get it.
And it's just by asking. How are you getting these discounts?
Just asking, man. You just go in there and ask. And it's not really a discount. Like, they're going to get rid of the pots anyway.
Yeah.
But I have use for them, and I tell them that all the time.
But they say one man's trash is another man's treasure.
That's a fact. That's a real fact
for
there.
sure.
We'll take a look in here.
Cool.
Yeah, no, I love all of the pots, actually. I'm like, man.
Again, we're turning this area over too. So, again, in these boxes, we've got carrots that should be sprouting here in the next couple days or so. Some of them have already begun to sprout, but carrots do take a while to germinate at times.
Yeah. I put mine in like maybe like 2-3 weeks ago, and they're starting to pop out now.
Yeah. So it does take a couple of weeks. But in the pots, that you see in between the carrot boxes, these are actually lemon trees. Yes, and so we in the winter we got to prune these back so that they maintain their shape and grow upward as opposed to being
Growing
these
out.
low bushy plants or whatever. We don't mind these growing a little bit more upward. We've got orange trees over there that I'm going to show you in a second that we want to be a little bit bushier. But this space here in the summer we were growing watermelon, icebox watermelon and cantaloupe. And there were varieties that we were trialing.
Yeah.
A company again sent us some free seed packs that we were willing to try, organic seeds, and they did okay. But we've had to really consider how to use this space here because the land slopes down, so this area gets a lot of water. And we were concerned about that because we initially had blueberries in this space, and the blueberries were suffering. They weren't dying, but they were suffering because they don't like wet feet, right?
My raspberries got that this year.
Yeah. And it subjects them to a lot of different diseases. And so we said, okay, we can't use this for blueberries. We dug up all the blueberries, put them in the pots there, and then we said what we can do is we can grow water-loving crops over here. Watermelon being one of those, cantaloupe being another, and then in the fall and winter, carrots. Now it doesn't rain as much in fall and winter as it does in the spring, right? So we're not concerned about water logging issues here. With regard to what we're going to be growing here in the fall.
Yeah, I think I was going to change up to something like that for my raspberries, so it sits up off of the ground and it drains better.
Yeah.
Do you think that would help?
Yep. And we don't have bottoms to these or whatever, so this grows right into the earth. But I wanted to give it a better start. So these plants have a foot head start. So that first foot of roots, which is the most important most important parts of your roots, are not being waterlogged and that sort of thing. They can breathe a little bit better. Now your taproot will go 2, 3, 4 feet down into the ground, but your feeder roots, which are the roots that are
right
near the surface of the soil, need to be taken care of as well. So you had to provide them a better start.
How did you learn how to do all of this?
Man, listen, YouTube University, you know what I'm saying? But all jokes aside, man, my father-in-law taught me a lot of stuff.
Nice.
The farmer that we met, when I worked at UNC Chapel Hill, with whom I'm still connected to, taught me that. And then just cold calling farmers. Like I literally will go through, search the internet, find farmers who are selling things that I want to grow or growing things that I want to grow. And I call them and I ask them questions, and you'll be surprised at how many people are willing to pick up the phone and talk to you.
That's right.
And there's some people who don't have time, right? Or they'll say, you know what, I can't do it right now, but how about tomorrow at 5? And I say, okay, cool, I'll lock you in. And I call them and we're on the phone for an hour talking about all of these different things. And there have not been many people who have not answered questions that I've had about things.
Nice.
Got it, man.
Yeah.
What do you find is the most creative way that you're using this land in order to make profits or even grow crops?
Yeah, I think the growing in containers like that's been a real treasure, man. Like I've been
these?
No, the plastic
Those,
containers.
yeah,
Like those containers. There has been it's been wild what we can grow there. I mean, we've grown peach trees in pots and have picked peach trees out of pots. Now, of course, we had the larger pots. And you got to get a dwarf variety tree in order to grow them in the pots. But we've done that, and we ended up selling those trees or whatever because people wanted to offer us significant money for the trees.
Tell us how much.
Yes. So I sold the trees in the pots, for $60.
Exactly.
Wow.
The established trees. And so
what's the ROI on that like?
well, if you buy the tree for $5, $10, and you sell it for 60, you're making pretty good profit there.
Flipping trees, man.
Yeah, exactly. No, legit. I bought a pawpaw tree, for $125. It was established in a pot, but it was already fruiting. So I got 2 pawpaws in the ground, and this is the third year, and I haven't done anything. And I was like, I want to try one, so I bought one for $125. So that's why I was asking you, do the plant sell for more or do the produce? Because on one hand, if you can learn how to propagate, sometimes it's almost better if you're worried about profits to propagate more.
Well, some plants have this propagation prohibited policy on
them. For sure.
And so we have to be very careful what we propagate. So when we buy from local farmers, so we buy a peach tree from Johnny's farm or whoever, we make sure that it's not prohibited. And we do propagate those peach trees and propagate those plum trees that we get from the local farmers and turn that into profit. Or we plant them in the ground. I mean, we've got some propagated trees over there, the plum trees that you guys saw earlier. There are 2 or 3 plum trees that came from propagation. In fact, that one right there, the second one on this first row here, was a propagated plum tree that produced 3 plums this year.
Yeah.
You know,
I
that's
thought
3 more than we ever
Yeah.
expected. It didn't cost us anything. We
Something
bought
to
the
eat.
original tree and then we propagated it.
Yep.
A couple years, grew, and here we are.
So as a beginner, how much, well, if I'm looking to sell crops, should I be expecting a profit right away? Or does it take time to become profitable doing this?
Nah, you can, if you do it the right way, you can expect a profit right away. Because if you, let's just say you buy a peach tree at the discounted price of say $15,
Yeah.
right? And you are familiar with the propagation process and you cut 15 cuttings off that tree, right? And you create, 15 smaller peach trees and you put them in starter pots and you sell those trees at $10 a pop, right? You spent $15 on a tree. You spent nothing to cut and propagate them. You might have spent $4 on a bag of potting soil to put in those little pots. And then you sold those 15 cuttings at $10 or $15 a pop. So you have definitely made profit then, right? And so you do that, 10, 15 times over, you're looking at a pretty good profit. And then also, when you're purchasing your original seeds, you're making sure you're getting heirloom varieties, which you can take the seeds from those. And so that's how we make a lot of our profit as well. Is we grow, we might spend $4 on a pack of tomato seeds, and you get 100 tomato seeds, and we plant the tomato seeds, and then we extract the seeds from tomatoes that have fallen on the ground or that have split or that birds have pecked or whatever, the ones that we're not going to eat. Is then we just extract those seeds out of there. Now the process is a little bit challenging because tomato seeds are very tiny. Right. And so you got to take them out, you put them in a bowl, we wash them off, we pour them on a napkin, let them dry, and then you peel them off the napkin and you put them in an area that's, cool and not very humid. And you've created, thousands of seeds. I mean, we literally have thousands of tomatoes and thousands of watermelon seeds just from a pack that we spent $3 or $4 on.
For sure. So at the end of the day, if someone wouldn't have showed you how to do this, or they wouldn't have shown you how to do this, would you be this far ahead right now?
I don't think so. I think that, but you know what? I'm an avid learner. Like I like to learn. I ask a lot of questions. I do feel like I would have found a way and figured out a way to get to this particular point. Maybe not at this point that we're at right now. But because I do ask a lot of questions, because I do, build a lot of, real authentic relationships with people, I think that eventually I would have gotten to this point here. Because I just like to eat, right? I like to eat food. I like to see my kids happy. I like to see my kids with a little money in their pocket. And I just like the peace and the therapeutic benefits that this provides. And I don't think that I've found anything, beyond my family, right? My family is my peace as well. You're saying, but just having, as a man of color, having time to myself, out here in the farm, at times, and just spending time with nature, there's nothing more therapeutic than that.
It's amazing because I was just telling somebody something similar to that yesterday, where coaching is super important, right? So having somebody show you how to do something in order for you to skip the learning curve can save you a ton of time and money. But it's not like the coach is actually out here doing the work for you. You still have to put in the work. You still got to do the gardening. And that's how you figure even more stuff out, like pruning the trees and what to, snipping the garlic and stuff like that. This is probably stuff that you can learn on your own in time, but it has to start with somebody showing you how to get it done. I got a question, because I've seen oranges without seeds and fruits without seeds. Are those real fruits? Or
so
is that real fruit?
Well, some. I'll tell you, our grapes, for example. So I never believed in like seedless fruit, right? I see seedless watermelon on sale, seedless whatever, I ain't buying it.
Right.
That's what got to me. I'm like, how can a fruit not have seeds?
Correct.
Right.
So what ended up happening is we took cuttings from our grapevine, right? And we put the cuttings inside the pots, and of course it flowered, and we ended up planting it in the ground. And the fruit that it produced was seedless. And I said, wait a second, how you produce seedless fruit from seeded fruit? So of course my 15-year-old, he's doing his research, and he said that with grapevines in particular, you get a seedless grape from 2 seedless cuttings. And I had no idea. I mean, 2 seeded cuttings, I'm sorry.
I was always mind boggled by that. I always wanted to know how do you get seedless fruits? I always thought they were factory grown.
Yeah,
Oh,
nah,
for sure.
I'm skeptical, man, for sure. But these Awori Satsuma have very few seeds.
Got it.
To my understanding. So I can't wait to pick my first orange off of it.
Yeah.
See what it tastes like. It has what is called zipper skin. So it's like a tangerine where you're not having. With the orange, sometimes that skin is tough to get off. With these,
Yeah.
you just stick your finger in there and pull
Feel.
back, and that skin is off. And guess what we'll do with the skin?
Compost.
It's gonna go right in
Right
there.
in the compost.
Right? Dig that trench, put it down in there. A lot of people let their compost break down in the compost bin. Like, you don't need a compost bin. We have a trash can that we drill holes in, and we put food scraps in there. We put the grass clippings in there. And if we want to expedite the process, we just dig a trench in the garden rows, and we
Put
just
it in
plant
the
the
ground.
food right in the rows, and then cover it
Yeah.
back up.
You have a problem with the lizards around here too?
Of course, man.
Yeah.
Lizards everywhere.
So they eat up the stuff?
Not really. Lizard,
Yeah.
you kind of got to keep stuff around, because the ecosystem, right?
Right, for
Like
sure.
we have, a resident snake that, enters the yard occasionally.
Nice.
And that helps with the field mice population.
Nice.
Now, that's another issue that we didn't talk about. Field mice are
yeah.
a nuisance, man.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
And so,
Yeah.
we're going to
They
invest
like
in a
blackberries.
cat. They like everything.
They like blackberries.
Yeah, we're going to get us a cat next year.
Now, how can our listeners get in contact with you?
So we've got a TikTok handle. It's Chris Inspires You. We also have a website, chrisinspiresyou.com, which focuses more on the speaking platform, where we come out and we speak about love and overcoming adversity, and also talk about the farming, the farming process. We've got Instagram as well, but we don't post much on Instagram anymore because it is overwhelming to do all of those things. But
Yeah, for
mostly, TikTok, mostly, via our website, you can reach us for sure. ChrisInspiresYou.com, and Chris Inspires You is the TikTok handle.
Nice.
Chris Inspires You and ChrisInspiresYou.com. Listen, be sure to support Chris at his website. Also, subscribe to his TikTok. I just subscribed the other day. A lot of fantastic information on there. I think you guys will benefit from it. Listen, if you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to like it, subscribe, click the notification bell. Chris, are we missing anything? Did we miss anything, Sawan?
Nah, I think we're good, bro.
Nah, I just want to say I love y'all, man.
Appreciate that, man. Listen, we love you all. We look forward to providing you with more content, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Take care.